When the original Volkswagen Tiguan made its North American debut back in 2009, it was already late to a very crowded compact SUV segment. Now, nearly 8 years later, there's finally an all-new version, and VW has flown me out to this beautiful city known as Denver, Colorado, and we're going to find out if this 2018 version was worth the wait. I actually was a really big fan of the original Tiguan. It kind of had the sportiest dynamics, and it was also a lot smaller. So with this all-new version, you can see it looks nothing like the original first generation. It very much goes in line with the design elements we've seen on the all-new Atlas. It's got the very conservative, kind of blocky styling cues that we saw on the Atlas. You have these new corporate headlights with the satin finish chrome-ish grille. The lower front fascia is definitely very handsome. It kind of matches the rest of the blocky profile. Now, this particular one that I'm showing you is the SEL premium model. It does come standard with adaptive LED headlights, and unfortunately this is the only trim that gives you that. If you guys go for the other 4 trims that are available, you will get standard LED daytime running lights but halogen projectors. I know that some competitors in this segment have made LED headlights as standard. Now, if you want to follow me over to the sides here, this car is a lot bigger. It's riding on the all-new MQB platform that also underpins the new Golf and the Atlas, and Volkswagen stretched this thing a gargantuan amount for the American market. The wheelbase is about 7.5 inches longer. The overall length is nearly 11 inches longer. Now, if you guys are keeping score, the original Tiguan was definitely on the smaller side. It was kind of sized right around the subcompact SUV segment. So this is not really that much larger than its direct competitors. Now, wheel sizes, they range from a 17-inch alloy on the base S to these 19-inch dark finish wheels on the SEL Premium. I think they look fantastic. They really fill out the wheel wells nicely. These are 235 50 series tires. My tester is in this very bright shade of habanero orange, which definitely stands out. It kind of doesn't really go with the whole conservative design theme for me, but bright colors are kind of in, so I'm not surprised that Volkswagen did that. Now, coming over to the rear here, this is kind of where I noticed that this car doesn't really look like an SUV anymore. It kind of has a lot of styling cues of like a wagon because they made this a lot lower and wider. It's about 3 inches wider versus the old model, and it looks huge, to be honest. This definitely looks more sized like a Ford Edge or a Kia Sorento, which is one of the reasons why Volkswagen made this bigger, because they wanted to increase the interior space. Now, at the back, standard LED taillights are a nice touch, even on the base model, and all Tiguans are either front-wheel drive or you can get the company's 4Motion all-wheel drive. I really like the integrated chrome exhaust that all the models come with. It kind of finishes off the look. It's a very elegant-looking SUV that definitely has some Audi design elements thrown in there for good measures. Now, this particular model has a hands-free power tailgate, so if you just kind of kick your foot underneath there, it'll open up for you. Power tailgate comes available, I believe, on SEL models and up. Now, you're probably noticing one big thing here. There's a third row seat. I'll get into the third row later on in the video and show you guys this space, but this is optional. It's about $500 for all-wheel drive models, standard on the front-wheel drive models. But if you fold down the seat here, you can see Volkswagen really improved the cargo capacity of this car. The seats themselves, surprisingly, fold down pretty flat once I can get that down. There we go. And one of the main issues of the old Tiguan was the fact that it had a very cramped cargo area. Volkswagen says they improved the cargo capacity here by as much as 58% whenever the seats are up or down. I don't have the official numbers yet. I'll put that in the description later on when I do find out, but this is definitely now in the class when it comes to cargo capacity. VW does give you some nice, storage down here as well. And I do see a temporary spare tire as well, so you don't have to deal with a fix-and-flat kit like some of its competitors. Just like the first generation, VW only offers one engine choice on the Tiguan. Don't even think about asking for a diesel. That's just not available. Volkswagen is shying away from that after the Dieselgate scandal. This motor is actually the updated 2-liter turbocharged EA888 motor. It's actually an updated version of the old 2-liter. It's got direct injection. It's got variable valve timing. This motor now makes 184 horsepower. Now, if you're keeping score, that is down like 16 ponies versus the old model. What gives, I know. But it does have more torque, 221 pound-feet of torque, and you can actually access that torque like right off off idle at like 1600 RPM, which is great. This is a family crossover. You're not going to be drag racing in this vehicle. Now, VW did replace the old 6-speed automatic. Now it runs through an 8-speed automatic developed by ASIN. You can take your pick between front or 4-motion all-wheel drive. I don't have the fuel economy numbers yet, but the old Tiguan was rated like 2024, very paltry numbers for the class. I will update in the description later on once I actually have the official EPA estimates, which I should find out tomorrow. Now, the old Tiguan weighed around 3,600 pounds. I'm estimating this one weighs roughly the same, if not more, because it's a slightly bigger vehicle. But with 4-motion all-wheel drive like my tester, the 8-speed automatic, we'll get out on the road and I'll show you guys how it drives later on in the video. For the inside of the latest Tiguan, you can see getting in and out of this car is really easy. That's kind of the norm with this class of vehicle. Shutting the door, it sounds nice and solid. I didn't expect anything less of a German car. Now, my particular tester is an SEL Premium. It comes standard with Volkswagen Smart Key Access System with push-button start. I believe it comes standard on SE trims and up. This is the new key fob. I'm not terribly a fan of the new key. It feels a little bit plasticky to me. Really like the older keys or the keys that Volkswagen uses in the Audi brand. But nevertheless, to start it up, just put your foot on the brake. The button to start the engine is down here. Push it and it'll fire right up. And the engine has that typical Volkswagen noise. It's a pretty smooth, refined engine. Makes some nice turbo whistle noises too when you actually get the revs up. So that I pretty much expected. Now the rest of this cabin you can see completely different versus the first generation model. I mean, let's be honest though, that one should have been redesigned like 5 years ago. So you can see how Volkswagen has gone a completely different route with their interior design language. Now, first of all, the seats, these are the actual real leather seats on the SEL. The other trims will either give you cloth or the leatherette, the fake leather. And I like the seats. They sit up nice and high, really great view out of the road. They're comfortable, they're supportive. They do hold you in place surprisingly, so these are really fantastic seats. The steering wheel also basically comes off of the new Mark 7 Golf, flat bottom, leather wrapped, feels good. It's an electric power steering assist. We'll go into the test drive later on. Now, as for the rest of this interior, it's a rather simple, restrained, conservative design, and that may be to your liking. It's not quite as really styled like some of its competitors. The materials, they're top-notch as with any other Volkswagen. You have soft touch graining on the dash. You have this interesting gray finished plastic here. I really like the new head unit here, which is very clean layout with the touch sensitive buttons, and it's an 8-inch display, which by the way, this one's the upgraded head unit. All the soft touch materials carry over to the door panels where you'll have one-touch windows for all four. Kind of expected that as well. Volkswagen tends to give you a lot of those premium features, especially in this class. Now, you're probably noticing the big 12.3-inch digital cockpit display. This is literally taken off of an Audi. And to be honest, Volkswagen didn't really skimp that much. It's almost very Audi-like, right to the fact that you can literally push a couple buttons here on the steering wheel and it'll show you your navigation function, which it'll kind of project the navigation onto there. Or you can also just have the nav system projected here. Or on this display here. It's a really cool system here that literally just is missing the Google Earth function versus an Audi. Now, the head unit here, I want to talk about that because this is the latest version of Volkswagen's in-car-net display. And it does give you Android Auto and CarPlay. That's definitely something that a lot of people want to see. To access CarPlay, just push menu, go there, and it'll give you your CarPlay or Android Auto, depending on whatever kind of phone you have. Going back to the Volkswagen unit here, as you can see, we'll put the nav function back here. I really like the updated head unit. It's basically the same thing that you find in the latest Audi products. The touch response is also fantastic. One of the quickest responding touchscreens I've seen. It literally works like your iPad, to be honest. It's a really great system. Also really love the clean look that it gives you throughout the layout. Going to the radio display here, I love the way Volkswagen lays out the infotainment system with the way that the touch response works, with the way the presets work. It's just a really fast, easy to use system, and I love the graphics when you're trying to access your music. Now, when you put the vehicle into reverse, you do get a 360 camera system. Now, this is standard only on this SEL Premium. If you want that feature on other trims, you're gonna have to pony up to get this one. So again, if you want that feature, it's a really nice feature to have. You have to go for this high trim. Looking at the rest of the center stack here, you have dual zone climate control that's standard on the SE trims and up. You have heated seats and a heated steering wheel. No cooled seats, VW doesn't offer that. And then down here, the center console, this controls the 8-speed automatic. It's the traditional shifter with a sport and a manual mode. No paddles on the wheel though. And then you have some other buttons here for the start-stop, for your stability control. for the parallel parking system, which this vehicle, by the way, will parallel park itself if you guys go for the high trim. This little selector here controls the drive modes. There's 4 different drive modes and for the 4Motion all-wheel drive system, and the actual driving of the vehicle from like sport, eco, normal to a customized mode. Overall, this interior surprisingly is really roomy. That's the one thing I'm noticing right off the bat when I'm getting in it. There's really comfortable seats. There's some good storage in here. And then my Tester has the panoramic sunroof that is optional on SE, standard on SEL. Gives you a very, very nice view when you guys are sitting in the back. It opens up the cabin, especially since this one with the black interior can be a little bit on the darker side. For the back seat of the newest Tiguan, you can see because this car is so much bigger than the old one, there's a lot more space back here. The legroom is just plentiful. The seats also move forward and back to kind of give you a little bit more space here, or give your passengers in the third row a lot more space. But you can see here, I love the bench. It sits up nice and high, so you have really great stadium style seating. There's plenty of legroom back here, great foot space. Their floor is not flat, so putting a third passenger here, they'll have to kind of straddle the hump, but it's a very wide vehicle now, so there's actually room for 3 across. VW does give you a nice armrest here with some cup holders, and then you'll also get rear seat vents, and then 1 USB port and a 12 volt. I know some of the competitors offer 2. I mean, right now, that's kind of the norm, is putting more USB ports in these new cars. The materials back here, the door panel is actually hard touch plastic, not the soft touch like in the front, but the company did give you nice map pockets here to give you some more storage. So in the compact SUV segment, a third row seat is definitely not typical. The only competitor I think that has it is the Rogue and maybe the Mitsubishi Outlander, which nobody really buys. So the Tiguan is now one of those vehicles. To access the third row, you have to pull this lever here. The seat will kind of pull forward, and then you kind of slide it up. Now the space to get back here is definitely on the small side. I'm only 5'7", so I'm going to try my best to gracefully get back here. But when you get back here, oh, you can see it's definitely reserved for tiny kids. I'm not even going to pull the seat back, but I know that I would be pretty uncomfortable getting back or riding back here for even a short trip. Just know that this third row is there just so you could say you could carry 7, but you're really going to be putting people back here that you don't like, or small children. So for the drive loop, I've actually managed to switch cars because, you know, on these drive programs, sometimes you get one car, then you have to leave with another car. But anyways, I am in an SEL Premium with front wheel drive instead of the 4Motion all-wheel drive with the drive selector versus the one I was showing you earlier. Now, as I mentioned before, the front drive models come standard with a third row seat. Not sure why it's optional on all-wheel drive, but I'll let you guys, leave comments below on why you think Volkswagen made a third row seat standard on front wheel drive. But this car is equipped with the 2-liter turbocharged EA 888 4-cylinder direct injection, 8-speed automatic. Let's see how it accelerates one more time. Floored there. I have to admit, this car is a lot more sluggish than I thought it would be, especially considering how wonderful this 2-liter turbo engine is. Now, I am, keep in mind, in Colorado, where the elevation is much higher. We're like 8,000 feet above sea level, so I'm gonna have to wait until I drive the Tiguan out in DC, where we're on, not this high up elevation where the air is thinner. I have to say, this car feels annoyingly sluggish. I mean, it does have less horsepower now, but it feels pretty much the same pace as everything else in this class. If you buy a compact SUV, they're all pretty much slow unless you get the Subaru Forester 2-liter turbo, or you get the Escape with the 2-liter turbo. These cars are just not built for speed. Now, one thing about the Tiguan, the old one, is that it was such an old car. It literally felt like a GTI in an SUV form, which to me as an enthusiast was fantastic. It didn't sell well for Volkswagen. I think the company only moved like 40,000 Tiguans last year, which honestly was the best year they ever had, which was still paltry in comparison to its competitors. I mean, a CR-V does easily over 300,000, same with the Rogue, same with the RAV4. So Volkswagen is hungry. They want, they won't tell us how many sales they're targeting for this Tiguan, but, I'm sure they want to see that number get close to 6 figures annually. With this new one, they're certainly going to try their best to get there. This car is very, very refined. The old Tiguan had kind of that, dated, structurally not I don't want to say like not sound feeling, but it just felt old. This new one has that German heavy feel. In fact, this body is so much larger that this car is so much heavier. I didn't mention earlier, however, now I know some more of the specifications. This car weighs about 3,800 pounds with front wheel drive. If you add all-wheel drive, the weight skyrockets to over 4,000 pounds. So that makes the Tiguan one of the heaviest entries. Now again, it's one of the bigger entries, but that doesn't of course really help with the fuel economy. This car is only rated to get 22 in the city, 28 on the highway. Subtract 1 mpg if you guys go for an all-wheel drive model, 21, 27. Now that is a big improvement over the old model, which was like 2024. However, it still lags behind most of the competitors. Even the Mazda CX-5, the new one, gets 23, 29. That one's kind of more on the average end. This is pretty much on the low end for fuel economy. So I'm trying to figure out what Volkswagen's going to do to kind of up the fuel economy. But it is an improvement, and I have to say, when you get the Tiguan out in the real world, on these back roads here in Colorado, they are really, really beautiful scenery to drive. Just cruising along on the highway here, this car is literally, I want to say, the quietest entry in this segment. This is quieter than everything else that I've driven on the highway at highway speeds. And the ride is also very, very soft and comfortable, even though my Tester has 19-inch wheels, which, by the way, I didn't mention this earlier, there's an R-Line Sport package coming later this year that'll offer 20-inch wheels if you guys go for the SEL Premium. That's like $1,500 extra. So it does offer like the biggest wheels in the segment at a 20 if you guys want to choose that. But the ride quality is nice and comfortable. It's compliant. It's quiet. The visibility in here is fantastic. You can easily see everything that you want to see out here. And then when you want to pass somebody, like, it's really just a matter of kind of being a little more patient. I've literally got somebody in front of me in another orange Tiguan. That's probably the one that I actually drove because it's the all-wheel drive model. But I have to say, the passing power leaves like something to be desired. Now, one thing that I really want to talk about that bothers me is the steering feel in this car. It's so numb. Volkswagens in general tend to have more numb steering, but the old Tiguan was a little bit more playful. This one has been softened up for the American market completely. It doesn't feel like it wants to, you know, have some fun in the corners, to be honest. If you're thinking this is like a GTI SUV, it's not. In fact, it would have been lovely if Volkswagen just put the 2-liter turbo from the GTI with the dual clutch. But this 8-speed automatic, you know, it caters to the audience it's going to buy this car. It's smooth, it's pleasant, it's refined. It shifts quick enough. I do find that when you are in a hurry, you kind of have to bury your foot all the way down to the floor until it clicks. But really, oh my God, going through this corner, this turn here, I feel the body roll. It doesn't inspire much confidence, that's for sure. This is not an SUV that I want to be attacking these back roads in. But again, you don't buy an SUV like this to go attacking some back roads. What you will be doing is taking long road trips, and this is where the Tiguan excels because it's so damn roomy in here. This car is huge on the inside. It's easily more spacious than the latest CR-V, the latest CX-9. And you know, you sit up nice and high, it's nice and quiet. So in terms of just as a practical family vehicle, this is where Volkswagen, you know, put most of their attention to. In fact, this car feels like a class above a CR-V to me. It feels much larger. It literally feels like the last Kia Sorento I drove. It just feels big. Now, big may or may not be a good thing for some of you. I prefer a smaller, more nimbler vehicle, but for those of the American buyer that wants a nice, planted, comfortable SUV, the Tiguan is really going to satisfy that if that's what you're looking for. It's just amazing to me how sluggish this car feels. It feels like it gets to 60 in like 9 seconds in these road conditions. So again, I'm gonna wait until I drive this thing in DC, but I have to say, my God, this thing feels as slow as everything else in the segment, which is such a shame because the old Tiguan definitely was one of the quicker entries. It was really keeping pace with all the V6 competitors, and now this just keeps pace with all of the 4-cylinders, you know, with the turbo or without the turbo. Now, one thing that this engine does have decent amounts of feel is the mid-range. Volkswagen beefed up the mid-range with 221 pound-feet of torque, but less horsepower. So when you're not pushing this engine all the way up to its 6,500 RPM Redline, it does feel okay. But really, when you start to hustle it and you really start to push into its upper rev ranges, this is where this car feels godly slow, and it's such a disappointment. Now, the Tiguan does come standard with automatic start-stop. It's not going to enable right now because it's just 90 degrees. It's very hot. But I found that it's pretty seamless. It starts up pretty quickly. It's one of the better ones on the market. Now, surprisingly, the engine also feels like it has a little bit of lag off the line. I'm not sure if it's the transmission, but really once my foot goes all the way to the floor, I'm literally waiting a couple of seconds for the engine revs to start building up, and then you feel the strong mid-range up until about 4,500 RPM, and then past that, the engine kind of starts going to sleep. Typical of a turbo engine, not typical of a Volkswagen turbo engine. So, this is an all-new 4-cylinder turbo apparently, where they've reworked a lot of the internals. It's got a new combustion cycle. And I have to say, I'm pretty disappointed with the feel out in this specific, environment and higher elevation. So, just make sure you guys take this car out for a test drive. Again, it's going to feel pretty much on par with everything else in this class. It is a lot quicker than the Nissan Rogue that I last drove, which I actually have back home waiting for me that I'm driving this week. But again, they've really made this car a lot more tame, a lot more comfortable for the American market. So it really shows in the overall driving dynamics, which is definitely leaves something to be desired for me as an enthusiast. However, it's not unsafe. It's not, secure. It's just nothing super memorable. What is really memorable is the feeling of is the overall feel that this car's cabin gives you. I love the digital cockpit display, love the new head unit, I love the 8-inch glass touchscreen here, which is literally really great. Love the pano sunroof, love the seats. The seats are really comfortable, and I love how quiet this interior is. So if I was gonna really take one of these on a long trip, this would probably be one of my top picks. It also comes with all the driver assistance tech you expect in today's market, which is something the old Tiguan didn't have. You get, automatic emergency braking. You have active lane keeping assist. You have adaptive cruise control with stop and go. You have pedestrian detection. You have automatic high beams. I mean, you do have to get the fully loaded SEL Premium to get the whole package. Although if you guys go for like an SE, it'll give you blind spot monitoring with cross traffic alert and the forward emergency braking. But then you have to step up to the SEL to get the adaptive cruise control with stop and go. The SEL Premium rolls in the active lane keeping assist. So again, some of the competitors at VW, or that VW deals with, they come with standard with adaptive cruise and all those goodies like the RAV4 or most of the trims of the CR-V. So it's something to keep in mind if you guys are looking for the class of vehicle or the entry in this class that is the most value oriented. It's definitely not the Tiguan. One thing that did surprise me though is the fact that this one's a front wheel drive model, and I don't feel any torque steer, I don't feel any wheel hop. It barely skids its tires, to be honest. I mean, I did drive the all-wheel drive model earlier, and it just has that sure-footed grip, that comfortable, stable, secure feeling. So really, you want an SUV that's in this class of vehicle, you really expect that kind of feel, and the new Tiguan delivers in terms of that. With the VW brand on a mission to completely reinvent their image post-Dieselgate, I'm happy to announce that this 2018 Tiguan is a step in the right direction. Unlike the previous model, which was a slow seller due to its high price and cramped interior, VW has addressed all the faults with the old one in this second generation. The biggest one being the size. This one being so much bigger is able to accommodate a small third row, which should appeal to all the families that are literally looking to buy a vehicle in this segment. Now, speaking of which, when it goes on sale later this summer, you'll be able to pick up a Tiguan S front-wheel drive for around $25,345. That actually only makes this car about $350 more than the old model. Kind of a bargain if you're asking me. Now, unfortunately, the Tiguan is still more expensive than most of its competitors, roughly about $1,000 to $2,000 more expensive. Now, from there, you can go up to my tester, which is an SEL Premium. This one is considerably more money. It starts at $37,550 plus $500 for that third row. All in, my tester is just around $39,000 with the $900 destination charge, which makes this car a whopping $4,000 more expensive than your neighbor's CR-V Touring or Mazda CX-5 Grand Touring. Now, is it worth it? Well, after spending the day driving this vehicle out in Colorado, I have to admit the driving dynamics, while not my particular favorite for the latest Volkswagen products, it's definitely been numbed down a lot. It'll appeal to the buyer in this segment. The interior is one of the quietest SUVs on the market for this segment, and the technology, that Audi-like virtual cockpit display, the around view monitoring system, the whole interface, and the interior quality, you're gonna feel like you actually spent additional money to get this car. It feels more expensive than it is, and I think that is the key to success with this all-new Tiguan. I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2018 Volkswagen Tiguan SEL Premium. If you're looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, make sure you follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you all in the next video.